This is a consumer unit and you 100% have one inside of your property. And depending on when you had yours installed, you might want it upgraded. In this video, I'm going to show you how I changed it as well as relocated it. But first, here's a little history lesson on consumer units.
In 1885, the first fuse box was made, and it was a way to make electricity in the home much safer. They have evolved over the years and eventually came to be called consumer units in the 1980s.
Fuse boxes have been made from wood to metal, then to plastic, and then back to metal as of new regulations made in 2016. The main purpose of a consumer unit is to protect your property from an electrical hazard. Today, the main job is to upgrade the fuse boards, but not only that, relocate it. Inside, we've got the consumer unit up here, and basically the customer, they said they just cannot reach it. I mean, as you can see, it's quite a large cupboard, it's right at the top. We're going to put a whisker extension box in there, and then bring all the cables down into the new consumer unit below.
We're following up on this EICR, doing some remedials, and one of them is running a bonding cable from the new boards to the kitchen to bond the gas, I believe. And so we're just seeing if we can reuse this trunking and just seeing if there's anything in it. But as 2023's rising star, I'm sure I can make it work. Yeah, it's more or less empty. I think it's just running to that intercom over there. Should be able to run it in this. The nice thing about this is we've got like internal 90s and stuff like this, so you've got a bit of leeway inside where it overlaps on top of the trunking. So it doesn't have to be perfect measurements, but if you measure the inside of the two walls, then you can take off, say, half an inch or something like that, and then it should fit about right, and worst case you can just cut it down a little bit, it doesn't matter too much. And then we need I don't know the names for it, I think it's a flat 90, don't quote me on that, where one goes here and then joins onto one going horizontal. It's going to run under the kickboards, around this corner, and onto the gas pipe in here. This is what I call the cross junction. You can just go in every single direction and you can go out the bottom as well. If you imagine this in that corner that I was talking about, where the trunking's coming down into this one and then going horizontal, so that's what we need, whereas this is for more staying horizontal or vertical and going around like corners and stuff like that. Same with these, but the opposite direction. So yeah, we might have to order these for tomorrow. Luckily we're here for a couple of days, I think. So even if the trunking's up there and then we just clip that on afterwards, I'm sure we can get ordered for tomorrow.
Okay, I've now got this old board out. As you can see, it's pretty dated. And that's actually where they had the main earth, had it just screwed to the outside of the board sort of thing. In its place, we're going to be putting this whisker box. We've used these a few times now, and I'm just curious what other people use when they need to extend all the circuits. We find these really good, just Wago, little lever connections. So that's going to go in its place, like I said, where the old consumer was. And then from them, we're going to notch out the bottom of this, put in some trunking all the way down to the new consumer, which is going to be below here, and then just start bringing all the cables down into it. What do people do with their old breakers? Do you just chuck them? Do you give them away to people? I'm just curious, because the amount of obviously boards we're doing at the moment, we do seem to chuck most of them. Obviously, if we know some are going to come in handy in the future, sort of thing. But yeah, just curious what other people do with them.
Mate, that is absolute swish right on top of that skirting.
Beautiful.
As you just saw, I set the laser up at the bottom of where I was going to drill through, because I want it to be level just above the skirting as well. What I had is I drilled with the laser always on my drill bit, so that I know that it's going to be level when it pops out, and as you can see, it's worked, so wicked. I might need to drill holes either side of where this trunking meets the door frame and then run it on the back of this frame inside the cupboard. I imagine that's what they've done with the intercom cable. Intercom cable. Could be a con, who knows? So it's slightly too short, so this wall is probably, I don't know, 3.2 meters or something like that, and these trunking lengths are 3 meters. Instead of cutting just a small bit that's like that long, what I'll probably do is cut it down maybe 1/2 meter on the long bit, and then I just find it always looks nicer and like sticks nicer when it's a bit of a long bit instead of it just being quite short. So that's probably what I'll do. So two of the reasons you might upgrade your board is one, for safety. So old boards had a very low level of protection. It was mainly just overcurrent. But now if you get it upgraded, you'll have a much higher level of protection. And then the second one is nuisance tripping. So there's a lot of different gear that you can get with electronics in that leak a lot of DC back into the board. And so when you upgrade it and get separate RCBOs for each circuit, it can prevent that.
What I've done here is normally when we use these, we come in some stuffing glands. Like I see, they've got pre-marked holes here to put stuffing glands in top and bottom. So you bring them in one side and then bring them out the other side. But on this, all the cables come from the back, and the cable's actually really short. What I've done here is, as you can see, I've just cut out this little rectangle in the back here. So when the DIN rail's mounted and the Wagos go on here, little click and Wago connectors, basically the cables come in, come straight into the top of the Wagos, and then they'll come down the slot here that I'll cut out in a minute. And that way, it just makes it a lot neater for it.
So since plans have changed from the drop going down here, what I was talking about, where you take about ½ inch off so that you give a bit of leeway, I'm gonna take a bit less off because it's gonna have to go up against this wall. So we'll still take a little bit off because it will have a 90 that side, but this side it will have to be up against the wall, so we don't want to take too much off, so ½ inch will probably be too much just for that side. It's causing a proper ruckus over there, isn't he? So I measured 8 foot, ½ inch, stick it about here. Should be less. He's a ninja. Must have literally been right ninja. Alright, okay, so now we've got trunking all done in that room. What we're going to do is just replace these lengths up here and then put a new one above the door frame. We'll make a hole in the back of here at the end so that the cable can pass through there. Might try to widen it a little bit because our bonding cable will be going through. And then same this side, we'll cut a slot out of this side here because then there'll be a drop coming down here, so if we cut that slot it can just go around. Turns out we do need a flat 90. That's either getting picked up today by Luke or it's getting ordered tomorrow, but either way it can just get clicked on after.
But I'm just going to show you where I'm up to at the moment. This big pipe here is the main heating. I don't know if it's for the flat or the whole entire building, but basically it's like having a sauna above your head. So as you can see, I've got beads of sweat currently dripping off my forehead. It's not going as smoothly as a plan, just being honest. As you can see here, even with the Wago connectors, like this little earth here, it's still too small to even reach there, because when they brought me into the boards, they literally had that much length for them. So I'm going to have to extend a few of them all the way down to the board now. And yeah, we just got to the stage where I'm notching out the wood, trying to get trunking to go all the way down, but it just seems every corner we're facing a little battle at the moment, but yeah, should get there.
So, you find me in this cupboard. What they've done here before is just a mess. It looks like it's been bonded by that 4mm, maybe a 6mm coming through the wall right at the back. And then there's just a bunch of like cross bonding going on. But what we're gonna do is bond it properly just after the meter. So just down there, it's gonna be a little bit fiddly because we wanna get it in a good spot, and it can't go on here, and it's got to go on the actual copper piping. It's going to be a little bit awkward, but I'm sure we'll manage.
Just thought I'd give you a little update where I'm at the moment. I've currently, like I said, I explained earlier, some of these are going to need extending. They don't even reach the Wago DIN rails. I've started getting the cables in down to the board and labelling up. I've still got to move this meter slightly, because this is where the existing fuse board was, and as you can see, you can't really get the live and neutral tails out. I've also got to fit an isolator in there, a nice Wilex isolator. Then from there, if we go down, I've managed to cut out the slot in the shelves. I've got the back, it's like a back plate for the fuse box. Basically, it just means you can bring all the cables in from the top, and you don't have to touch any of the holes on the knockouts for the fuse board. So I've got that on, I've labelled them up this side as well. I've done that before, labelling up one side and not the other side, and then when you come to put them away, you have no idea which is what. A couple more cables get down. I'll start second fixing this board once I've got the tails down as well, and then I'll show you where I'm at from there.
Cameraman Ruben here. So, I don't know what they've done there, But as you can see, they've just like taken this cable here and just gone, oh yeah, nah, let's earth the wood. Unless that bracket's going into something. Oh, you know what, it might be joined onto the sink. It's just ridiculous what they've done in here. Right. Give up. That 4mm or 6mm, whatever, comes into here, this loosey-goosey, whatever the hell that is, and then it stems off to the wood / sink. I don't really know. And then one was the old bonding that was here. It's just like, if the water is earthed, why does this sink need to be earthed? Surely it doesn't. Unless I'm just being really stupid, but that just makes sense to me.
This is the board we're going to use today. It's a 14-way fuse box and it's got the SBD combined internally. We use these quite a lot. We seem to use fuse box quite a lot because they're good. We haven't had any problems with them so far. It is a 14-way and it is only 6 circuits, but you never know what the future's going to hold, sort of thing. You never know what more additions they want in future. So yeah, 14's a good sort of start where you've got a lot of extra spare ways. So I'm just going to take the cover off. I'm going to use these 2 rear knockouts because we have that, I showed you earlier, little standoff plate. So basically all the cables coming from behind, they come straight in here, so that means we don't have to knock any holes in the top or bottom. Just makes it a lot neater. I don't know how other people do it, but this is just a way, just from changing a few now, this is the way I prefer. I prefer to take out basically the all insides. I've seen people where they'll mount it through like that, but yeah, I just prefer to take everything out inside, put it all to the side, and it gives you all that room to bring your cables in and work with. Just another little tip as well, I've done this before. Make sure when you take out these to release these cables and neutrals in the earth, make sure you screw them back up, because I've had it before where I've done that all, knocked all the knockouts, put it on the board, gone to put the tails in and the fly leads, and then realised this bolt has fallen out, because they quite easily do, especially if you're grinding the back out or the tops. The vibration makes them fall out and then you basically lost one, sort of thing. So just make sure you tighten them straight after you take them out. So I'm going to try and share a bit more often, like little tips and tricks. And this, please do not get this wrong, this is not aimed at fully qualified electricians and things like that who have a lot more experience than me. I'm not trying to be like that and say, but this is for the people that are in my position that might just find them handy, because I've just been shown them by like Lee and John and things like that and other people. So it's little things like this. With the grommet strip, obviously you get with the board, so please use it, sort of thing, so that's what it's there for. But also just putting a bit of tape around it, because I've had it before where you put the grommet strip on nice, you get all the boards in, you start pulling some cables around inside and that, and the grommet strip just falls off, and it's a nightmare to get back on once the board's installed on the wall, sort of thing. So little things like this, just get a little bit of strip of tape, put it on all 4 sides, that way this grommet strip, there's no way it's coming off. I mean, yes, it might not look the prettiest inside, but it's there for a purpose. Yeah, that's another little tip. I'm just going to quickly show you then what we've got now in this board. This is the standoff plate, like I said, so they come in from the top, they're going to come in from the rear of from the back of the board. So as we've got the towels in here, we've got the 6mm for the cooker, we've got 2 ring circuits, that makes up the 4 cables. So you there's 1 ring and here's the other ring. We've got the 2 lighting circuits, and I've also now put in another 1mm for the doorbell, because I don't know if you saw in the previous video, they'd actually just put in bell wire straight into the breaker. So yeah, we're going to put that on its own breaker as well, which will feed the doorbell. So yeah, we're at a good stage now. I've got all the cables in. It's time to mount the board and start dressing them in nicely. Right, before anyone says in the comments, I've had this before. As you can see, this is bang on level. And it's one of those things, obviously the shelves, that's obviously not slightly level. So in this situation, what would you do? I would always put the consumer unit level, because obviously in the future, if they rip out the shelves, you're just going to have a wonky consumer unit. But yeah, I know what you're like in the comments, right? You're going to slate me, but no, it's bang on level, I promise. Okay, I've just stripped all these back now, you can see. Strip them as far back as you can, just so you've got the singles coming to the board. You don't need the outer sheath on. I've labelled a few of them up, and not some of them, because these are just the lighting circuits, and I know they are. Obviously by the size of the cable, I know that's the oven, and basically I've just got 2 rings. One comes in one side, one comes in the other side, so I haven't had to label them all up. So what I do, I strip them all back, and then I sleeve all the earths first. So I'll sleeves all the earths, get them all away properly in order, and then I'll start putting the neutral and lives in. But I just find it easier this way, strip them first, because then you can bring them down like this. Ooh. Bend them back on themselves so you've got a bit of slack in the board for future. Then once you've bent them back on themselves, they can come over the top here. So I'll just get it to the next stage and I'll show you from there. As you can see, I've dressed all the earths in. It's not the final product, they're just in there out of the way, and I'm sort of tied them up a bit more now. So what I'm going to do now is I've just taped up the live and neutrals together, because I'm going to bend these in half basically and bring them back on themselves, and then put the railing for the MCBs, or RCBO should I say. So I'm going to bend them back on themselves. So I've just put a bit of tape on them, so that is, because once that's in, it's bent back, it's sort of thing, it's just easier to see that obviously this live goes with this neutral, etc. So yeah, I'm just going to give them a quick bend back, mount this on, and I'll show you from there. This way I'm up now basically, got the tails in, bent all the cables back, so it's time to dress them in now. So I've got my RCBOs and I'm just double checking that they're all right. I've actually got one extra for some reason. So like I said, it's not actually that many circuits, so it shouldn't be too hectic in there. The reason why I'm ferruling these, because as standard, if you look at the end here, they come sort of like pre-pressed, sort of crimped sort of thing. You have so much slack this in boards, so if this is the first breaker, you're gonna have all this excess cable here, and it just builds up a lot of cables in this corner here. So I like to sort of cut them to size. I'll show the next one, but it's basically a stranded cable that's really fine, so you have to ferrule stranded cables. So yeah, that's why we're ferruling them. Ferruling.
Following up on Luke's EICR he did a little while back, there was a lack of CPC on this lighting circuit. So he had earth there, but when he tested at the light in the living room, there was nothing. So it's likely that it's either going to be that one or this light here, which I imagine is between it. If it's neither of those, we'll kind of reevaluate, test a little bit, and then take down a few other lights. Could be one in the bathroom maybe, but yeah, we'll just see what happens. So we've got one cable here. Usually you'd see 3. That could suggest that there's some sort of connection above this light. So we're going to take it down, see if the loose connection is up there. Right, okay, so we're taking off this switch because chances are, I think this has concrete ceilings. So it might be the case that they fed the switch to minimise cables in the ceiling. So I'll just have a look now. Right, okay, they haven't fed the switch because this will be our 2-way from over there, I imagine. And then this will be for another light. So I kind of just concluded that it would be easier to just take this down and just see what's above this, because I tried to pull down on that cable and look up, but it just wasn't having any of it. We're just going to see if the loose connection or something is above this light instead. If I'm being real, I don't trust this light. As I was talking about, this is the sort of stuff you'd usually see above a light, especially something with such shallow like plate on it. Usually it just has to be stuck up into the ceilings, but I mean you can see that connection isn't amazing. I'm gonna go flipping switches. Should hold on my neck.
It's definitely this one.
What about that 2-way, that 2-game one? Right, okay, so we just retested it. So I got Luke to link it out with the board, and then we tested R1R2 at the first light that we took down. There's an earth there, but there's not one here. It looks like the connections are all right up there, so chances are it's the earth coming over. So it might be going to that bathroom light first, so I think I'll take that down next.
So we only realised this the other day, poor old Ruben did while he was doing something on the board. These new fuse box blanks, you used to be able to slot them in, even with the buzz bar in, but now they're just tiny little slits like that, so you have to put them in and drop the buzz bar to take them in and out, which is probably a good thing to be fair, but yeah, just a little reminder for you.
Okay, that's something. So if that is either the one coming into this light or the one going out, then it could potentially be that causing the problem. So it could be that the lights aren't connected to these directly, and so that's why they're earthed and in a different wiring. So we'll just have to investigate further. So this tests continuity, and it's just a voltage tester. So the first thing you want to do is just make sure it's working. So usually you'd have a previewing unit, but here I can just test that it's measuring continuity, and then that's linked out. So if I go just between one of these and earth, we're getting something. So the earth's coming over to this light, but if it's not going out, then that suggests this either goes to the bathroom one. In fact, it almost definitely goes to the bathroom one and then into the living room. Hopefully, that's why it's not going over there. It's because it's cut off here. So I've temporarily connected the earth back. And so if I test at this light now, I should hopefully get a reading. There you go. Bang. Continuity. So yeah, it was just that loose connection. So I'll properly connect that back up, get this light back up, and yeah, problem solved.
Hi guys, as you can see, we've run in all the bonding for the gas. Even though these aren't being used anymore and they've been capped off, we've still just run the bonding just because it's so close to the MET as well. We've also run the bonding room and running all the way to the gas, which is actually on the other side of the property. That's run round now, all in trunking, and comes down. We just need to clip that little bit there just to finish that off, but we've done the testing now, labelled up the board, labelled up all the circuits. As you see, so the reason why as well, I'll just explain, I've left a few blanks there. It's just the way the cables come in, and just to space them out a bit. It just made them a lot neater inside and gave them more room. So yeah, that's all labelled up and tested. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. We'll see you on the next one.